I think at some point at the end we need to reveal one mystery card.
Let's go.
Right here. This is it right here. I've got
Come on.
Just show that side.
Not to have an
No,
exclusive.
we're gonna.
What if I told you there was a card game that taught you about missions giving? Today on the Com Talk by Geek Devotions, we're going to talk about that.
Glix, what is going on?
We are receiving a signal from a new area on the planet Geekery.
All right, let's see what the planet has for us today.
Opening forms in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, Devoted Geeks, and welcome to Comtac, podcast extension of Geek Devotions, the show from Devoted Geeks who are devoted to letting you know you're loved. I'm Dallas, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited about this week's podcast because I have some special guests on here who are doing something creative and fascinating, and they have taken their creativity and they have put it together to reach children and teach them about missions giving and how to reach the world with the gospel of Jesus Christ. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce that team behind BGMC, and that is David, Lewis, and Stacey. How you doing, guys?
Hey.
How you doing?
Glad to have you guys here. Now, David, you are the director of BGMC Boys and Girls Missionary Challenge, based out of Springfield, Missouri, with the Assemblies of God. David, tell a little bit about who you are and what you do, and what is BGMC, real quick.
Yeah, well, BGMC is the discipleship tool that the Assemblies of God has for kids. It is a way to inspire kids to think outside themselves, to, number one, be missional in their home, second in their community, and then help reach people around the world. And so it's just a lot of fun to be able to help kids dream on how they can help other kids around the world.
Word. Awesome. And now, Lewis and Stacey, you guys are the lead pastors at Nexus Church in Bloomington, Illinois.
Yes.
What is Nexus Church, and how did you guys get involved with BGMC and this interesting? We haven't even explained what it is yet, but how did you guys get involved with BGMC and everything?
Are you going to tell the story?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I mean, you could talk about Nexus. So.
Okay, well, we're a New Start church. We launched a little over 6 years ago. So my husband and I are the lead pastors there. And we were children's pastors for 20 years before that. So heavily involved with Illinois district activities and camp and leading worship at camp. And we got to know Eric Hoffman, who is the Next Gen director of all Next Gen missions for the Assemblies of God. And he was our Illinois DYD, district youth director. So we established a great working relationship with Eric. And I cried tears when he left because he went on, because he raised so much money for missions, had such a heart for missions. They decided to make him the director of the nation. And so he's like, hey, we're going to do stuff together. So he's gone alongside with us, and we've gone on missions trips with him, and we have a heart for global missions. And so I guess that brings us to this.
Yeah, and what I do is that I do all the video for BGMC and Speed the Light. So
Right.
they have me make the videos. And so,
Wow.
this whole thing kind of came about because I really think it's because David showed up, and he has a listening ear to crazy ideas.
Thank
Right.
you, David.
And I have quite a few of them. So.
Right. Well, speaking of crazy ideas, let's explain to what people's happening here. You guys have created a TCG, a trading card game that's based around missions giving, and specifically y'all's program, Boys and Girls Missionary Challenge. So let's kind of dissect that. Let's break that down. What is this card game you guys have created, and why did you create it? What stirred this pot? I know you said that David has a ear for crazy ideas, but you had to have the crazy idea first before he heard it. So how did this happen?
I know exactly what it is. My husband gets addicted to these videos where you're opening up the packages, right? Is that what it was?
It was somewhat of it. Really, what came about? It was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we our children's pastor was trying to come up with something for Wednesday night, and just something to give the kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, what if we have like badges that we could sew on like jean jackets? And then we're like, no, okay, no. And I was like, and I realized a lot of the kids that came to Wednesday night, they always had a binder of Pokemon cards. And I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we do a card game of some sort? But at that time, it was just us, our church, and it was in one ear, out the other. It's like most of my ideas. And so that one's always been in the back of my brain. And honestly, January of this year, it just kind of popped back in. I'm like, hey, what this was connected to BGMC? What if we did something for BGMC? And so that's kind of where the idea came from, was like, okay, what can we do? And so Stacey and I started brainstorming a little bit, and then I called David, and I was like, hey, I got this crazy idea. And he's like, well, let's talk about it.
Right. Is that your reaction, David?
Actually, it truly was. Let's talk about it. It's funny because I was just cleaning out the warehouse in Springfield and found a bunch of old missionary baseball cards that we used to have for the Assemblies of God. So I was like, hey, this is actually something that could be something that we could launch. And so I knew that Eric, myself, and Lewis were going to be together on a trip. And I was like, let's think more about it, and then let's present it to Eric here in a few weeks. And it was just a lot of fun because as we're sitting at the table talking, Eric's one of those guys that it has to be sold on certain things, especially when it comes to the children's ministry side of stuff. He's a youth guy. He loves children's ministries and loves BGMC. But it was that part where it took him a moment. He just sat there like, huh. And all of a sudden it took. And the rest of the time that we were on the trip, it was conversation about what it could be like, what it could look like, and began to dream. And then really it was, how do we do this? We didn't budget for anything. How do we dream this up on a $0 budget to be able to create the cards? And really, Lewis, Stacey, and their team that are there at Nexus Church took the charge in creating stuff. And really, I think it spawned out of, take it a step further, when we changed Buddy Barrel to the new look, to look like he does today, the more anime version, the more style. Lewis, it was fun because Lewis was sending me all these different type of AI created things that were like absolutely ridiculous. But sent me Grandpa Buddy, who is now Grandpa Buddy.
This is how it started right here. But this
my goodness.
Yeah, Grandpa Buddy.
Grandpa Buddy.
And he's right behind us here too.
Right.
Grandpa Buddy here too.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting into some of the specifics. Because there's a lot of people who don't know what Buddy Barrel is. What is Buddy Barrel, and how does why do we have an old man barrel? That's kind of a strange thing to say.
Exactly.
I'll share the history of it. So when BGMC started 75 years ago, the way that they would get supplies to missionaries is they would put them into barrels and they would send them across the sea, on ship. Back in the day, we didn't have, as many planes as we did going back and forth overseas. And so they would put them in there. So the creators of BGMC, those folks that were in there, just said, hey, what if we had a mascot or a character that could represent what kids are being able to do? And so Buddy Barrel was created, and he's over years have different iterations of his look. But just this last year, we changed him up just a little bit to fit today's kid. And so Buddy is what people know around the world as the mascot of BGMC. So anytime missionaries would challenge, they would take the little mascot, and you would see kids in Africa or India with that character. So they recognize Buddy Barrel.
Right.
And so it was a lot of fun to, I didn't have any intentions of changing it in my first couple of years. It was just through conversation with Lewis, and really, just spending time around kids at camps, just saying, hey, what if Buddy looked a little bit different? And Lewis, through some an artist, helped me create the new look of Buddy Barrel. And so that also helped us kind of launch springboard into where we're going with the trading card games. And so just with Lewis's creativity, and just it'd be random 10 o'clock at night, I'd get this text with these 10 different barrels. Some of them absolutely ridiculous and should never be shared. But some that are pretty funny and could be shared. They could be new memes. But in all reality, Buddy is our mascot. And really, a lot of people will say that Buddy Barrel is BGMC, and that's not the truth. Buddy Barrel is the mascot. BGMC is every kid, every church that participates in BGMC. They are BGMC, not particular Buddy Barrel. So
right.
Buddy is the jar that people, or the barrel that they fill up the
well, and David, do you know how old Buddy Barrel is at this point? Because there's question on that. I think he started a couple years after BGMC.
Yeah, he's probably in his mid 60s.
Oh my!
And so
he's young.
That's why the Grandpa Barrel character is a win for us. So he helps us connect with the I hate to say it this way, with the boomer generation.
It helps.
It's true. But you know what? So far, we've launched just one video with Grandpa Buddy, and everybody has fallen in love with him. And so what's fun for us is as we continue to build this, there's other characters that come into play. Winnie the World is a character that's been around for many years, kind of Buddy's running mate. And then Pencil Pal is one that was definitely used throughout the 80s and 90s as an inspiration to write letters to missionaries. And so Lewis and Stacey found him and just brought him back to life. And so it was fun to be able to sit in my office just last week with a missionary who was like, I remember being a missionary on the field, getting letters from kids, all because of Pencil Pal. And so it's pretty cool because it inspired a generation to write letters. So it's just kind of fun there.
That is so cool. So cool. All right. Well, so we're reviving some old stuff. We're refreshing. You guys have updated Buddy Barrel to a modern, more anime theme, which I'm not gonna lie, I kind of love. I'm a big fan of anime. But talk to me about the game. How did the game, what's the idea of the game? How does it work? And how did you guys work out the process? I have a good friend of mine who he's working on his own game right now, and he's been working on it for months and months and months. And he's gone through a lot of reforms of it. So I can't imagine that you guys, full-time pastors, full-time jobs, all kinds of stuff. How did you guys put this together?
Before Stacey shares, because I'm going to let her share, I'm going to tell you this. This is why it's here already, because those two are absolute geniuses. He has downloaded the most amazing talents into those two alone. That makes a whole room of people jealous. But honestly, it's because the Holy Spirit just empowered them to be able to dream this up. So Stacey, I just had to brag on you guys for just a second.
We're both itching to answer this question. Do you want to?
No, you can't.
Okay.
I'll just say that, like, I'm in making this in the timeline from when we had the idea, like, none of it should have worked, like, really, because we're in the process of ordering the cards. We're like, hey, maybe we should play the game. We had it in our mind. All these things, like, there were so many things that shouldn't have worked for us to get them out by camp. And it's that moment where the Holy Spirit kind of directs, because while this game is going to be fun and kids are going to love it, we think that there's going to be kids that make decisions to be missionaries someday because of this game. And so that's where we're excited about it. But I'll let her explain the whole nuts and bolts of it.
So like Lewis said, I think that our lives just over the years have been mounting up to this moment, because we have been on the mission field. We have gone on mission trips. We have been to Vietnam and to Africa and been able to just meet missionaries and see the different, like, how the impact of not just BGMC has had on the mission field, but we've been able to see how our partners that we partner together with impact and bring resources to not only bring, like, look, for instance, one of our partners is WorldServe, and WorldServe brings water wells, clean water to remote places in Africa. Right. Well, you realize that you're bringing clean water that is bringing life to people, but it's also bringing the gospel of Jesus Christ as well. And so we take care of physical needs. We're also taking care of spiritual needs. And so this whole concept of providing resources and filling barrels, which is the whole point of the game, it's a collecting game. So kids will collect cards. We have 102 cards out right now, and we're going to continue generations and generations of cards. We're featuring locations. So there's 10 locations, and you play location card down. I don't know. Should we pick one? Which one should we pick? Let's pick. What's a good one? I should have thought about this. Let's do. Should we do Tanzania?
Sure.
Let's do Tanzania. That's Africa, like I was just talking about. So we're teaching kids. There's a little description about Tanzania and Africa, about what partners we're working together with, what the resources that are needed there, because the location is describing like a need. So they need water, they need cooking pots. There's a lot of just disease-filled ponds of water that are stagnant. And so the people that are out in remote villages need clean drinking water, among other things. And so this is teaching kids as they're collecting these cards about locations, this one in particular. And so as the game goes, there's actually a game board we designed here.
And we just got them in.
We just got them in.
Oh, yeah.
Hot off the press. Here we go. So without giving too much detail, this kind of helps gameplay, though. So as the kids have collected their cards, they know what to play first and what to play second. But they lay down a location card for their opponent. And in their hand, they have to have a certain amount of cards to be able to play as a character, and that character partners together with a partner.
And what partner you would want to use for this would be World Serve.
And so, and then you lay down an action card. Can we show an action card?
Here, you can put that down.
Yeah.
So here's an action card. And the idea of it is that as there's a location and you find out the needs, you have to figure out how you're going to fund those resources.
So kids,
these are actions.
These are ideas of like raking leaves or baking a bake sale or whatever kids are doing. So this giving kids ideas of how to raise money. And then that money, impact points, we add that together with a power up. So if you have the right power up that works along with it, like the Holy Spirit or boldness or generosity, all great things that are going to come alongside that action that you put forth. You add all your points up. The game board is a whiteboard, so you can tally it up with a whiteboard marker. And then you can see, you go back to your location card, the 6 resources that are listed there. If you have those resources in hand, then you lay them down in the barrels on the board. And
as long as you have enough points.
If you have enough points to afford those, to ship them off to the missionaries. And whoever is able to get the most resources wins. And then the great thing about it is the end of the game. Sorry, you want to say something?
Well, I think there's something you have to point out just for those people that play these card games. You're playing a location card for your opponent.
Right.
And so you have to build a deck of 30 cards ahead of time. And you're going to be like, do I have the right character? Do I have the right partner? Or do I have the right resources? So you have to kind of make decisions. And so you'll have to kind of think in terms of the 10 locations, where's the common resources, or what are resources that have a lot? And so and you will play 3 rounds with an opponent, and then, at the end of it. And
then you shake hands, and then you pray for both locations. And that's just a neat way to engage kids and adults alike in actual missions with actual resources, actual partners, to teach kids about missions. And so our hope is that a kid will be on the mission field as a grown-up someday and say, this is what inspired my heart to want to be a missionary.
That's awesome.
I love it because as the kids learn the locations, they see the resources that are on there. So as they go, let's just say shopping with their mom or dad, and they're walking through a store and they think of Tanzania and they think of clean water, they think of maybe rice and beans, or even, sanitary items for young ladies. And so they think of those things and be like, wow, we could be a part of making an impact in Tanzania from Springfield, Missouri, or from Louisiana. I can be a part of changing the life of a young girl, or give kids an opportunity, because like with our partners on World Serve, not only are they providing opportunities for clean water, but with clean water comes obviously the gospel, but there's basketball courts that can be put in right there. So kids can be part of buying a brick is $1 a brick. And so for $30,000, 30,000 bricks, all of a sudden you have a basketball court that ministry happens on, that kids that are from Muslim backgrounds are coming to hear the gospel every day to play basketball. So it's just a fun part where I call this a mobile discipleship tool, because everywhere kids go now, they're going to think about or potentially think about the way that they can make an impact. And that's why I love that we have impact points versus dollars, because it's the impact that they can make versus the dollars that they can raise. Because they can make an impact by praying, they can make an impact by serving, they can make an impact by going, and they can make an impact by giving. So it's the impact that they have, and that's the impact that this game is going to have on their lives. And
I love so much that you're making it about the impact rather than money. A lot of people have issues with missions and giving. They feel like, oh, you're just asking for money, but we were talking about making an impact. And was it a conscious decision to go, hey, let's make an impact and make it about prayer and stuff like that, outside just because, again, obviously the missionaries, they need funds. Things don't happen without money. But like, how did you guys come to the decision that you want to make it about the impact rather than the funds?
Honestly, through this whole process, it's kind of been like a team conversation. And so Lewis and Stacey presented stuff to our team at our offices. And we have 2 Gen Zers in our office that were like, hey, what if it was impact? So really it came from the young ladies in our office that were like,
awesome, this
would be more impactful for this generation and the next generation. And so that was, just taking the advice of some younger folks to hear from them on how to implement that into the game.
Very cool. Now I'm looking at the website. There's some amazing art. Where did the art come from for these cards? And I just got to put this out again. I play some TCG games. I play Pokemon with my students and stuff like that. So I'm very familiar with holos, reverse holos, all those kind of things. And I noticed you got some holographic ones. Is like, how did you guys build all this stuff?
Yeah. So when we started, I had worked with a few artists before. On a few of these, and I use some image creation software on a lot of it too. And we just kind of, it was, there's two other guys working with me. And so we just pounded it out in Photoshop, trying to figure out how in the world we could pull this off. Thank goodness Photoshop has like the generative fill now, like that, like all these things that we have available to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is the thing that David and I were talking about. If I would have done this idea 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I mean, and we just went to a firm and said, hey, make this card game. We're talking $100,000-$200,000, or like you said, your friend, it would take years to be able to, because like even when I'm working with artists, it's a week and then it's like, no, this isn't correct. So having some guys with me and then using some image creation software and with Photoshop, we just went at it and tried to figure out what the best way to create it was. So
this is Doug. Can you see? He's the water drilling truck for World Surf.
Oh, that's cool.
His name is Doug, D-U-G.
So in the creation of it, it's like there were a lot of difficulties because, like, you know, in this world, we get on the internet and we go, how do you make this? Like, how do you produce this? And usually a website shows up and you're like, here, create your trading card game here. And there was no such website that I could find. All I found was a website that would make some cards. And so at first when we started, I found this website and they would create cards, but they wouldn't pack them. And the price of the foil packs were so expensive. And so I was like on the hunt. I'm like, how in the world are we going to do this? So I had this idea. I'm like, well, what if our church packs all the cards?
Oh, wow.
And so that was our idea. And so I went searching far and wide and finally ended up into some websites with some folks over in China. And then I realized we could get somebody to give us the foil packs and then we could pack them. But Eric Hoffman in all his wisdom said, Lewis, there's no way your church is going to pack all these cards, especially if it's successful. It's just never going to happen. Right. And so me searching through different companies, I finally located one. And I think probably the coolest part of it was just looking at some other games out there. I know that one of the top printing processes called Blue Core. And that's the type of card that Pokemon uses. And I read about it and it was like, this is a really difficult, it's so expensive, blah, blah. I mean, all these things. And I'm like, ugh. And so as I'm talking to this company that we're working with now, I was like, hey, what's the process? What kind of paper? And I'm learning all these things I don't know about. Right. And she's like, oh yeah, we do Blue Core. And I was like, okay, let's go. And so that's when I realized, like, this is real. Like, this is going to be real. We're not just going to do some chintzy little game. Like this, hopefully we'll be able to be where we see a lot of other games. And they worked with me on the holos. And so
So it works, if I can explain it right, there's 10 cards in a pack and they're randomized. And so you're going to get some location cards, you're going to get some character cards, you're going to get some resource cards, you're going to get all the different cards you would need, but you have to collect them in order to have a good deck in order to play the game.
Sure.
But in them, they're randomized. And so, but there are ultra rares, and commons.
Oh, wow.
And there's some mystery cards out there too. So even though we call it our buddy log, it's kind of like a Pokedeck.
Right.
And so you can go online and you can see all the cards that are out there to collect, but then there's the mystery cards that you won't know until you get them.
Which I think we should reveal one mystery card on this show tonight.
I'm totally down for it.
I think at some point at the end, we need to reveal one mystery card.
Let's go.
Right here. This is it right here. I've got
Come on.
Just show that side.
About to have an exclusive.
No, we're gonna. I think we should reveal it because I think it's time to be able to reveal it. But we can wait. We can wait till later on.
Oh man, this is gonna be wild, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. Well, you're talking about, you guys are going through again. You're using professional printing. It's going to be these are quality cards. They're packed appropriately, not just by a very tired group of youth group members at your church. And let me ask you this: let's talk about sizings of this. Is this like standard sizes? Because like in my background, I have some cards here that have top loaded, but we sleeve cards. If you're a big collector, you like to sleeve them and everything like that. Will these fit normal standard sleeves, or do we have to get something different?
Yeah, so that was another big thing. I really wanted to keep to a size that kids knew, and I think that standard, like the regular baseball trading cards, and then what Pokemon is, or I believe Yu-Gi-Oh is probably that same size too. A lot of it is that 2.5.
They're a little bit smaller, but they're close. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So that's amazing. You guys have the legit binders and everything else. That is so fun. I love this.
Well, and I'll tell you about these. We're working on it right now. There's going to be 3 different kinds of these. Winnie's going to have one. Grandpa's going to have one. But so for me, like, I want to make everything that we sell in this like have an incentive. I don't want to just be like, here's an accessory. So there's the Winnie one right there.
Oh, that's cool.
And these are leather, but what I'm really excited about is when you get one of these and open it up, we've already started your collection with a card
that you can't get anywhere else.
What?
This binder. It is the same design as the binder, and it's the card, and it's a hollow. So, which is a really cool thing to be able to be like, and especially like for those collectors, they'll be like, I guess I got to have all 3 binders.
What?
Yeah,
that is awesome.
And we're just in that process right now of getting input. Like we put this out to all the district directors like Charlie Allo in Louisiana and Tracy. And in just a few hours, we had like 290 that were like, we want those for sure, or 290 ordered, and it's still ordering. We have it till midnight. But eventually these will be available to the field or to the local church pastors and people.
Very cool. Very cool. So let me ask you this, moving forward, again, these are quality things. These are quality print. You guys are having accessory stuff put out. Maybe you guys make some custom sleeves, just saying. But how can people get their hands on this? You guys mentioned earlier, you made a big push that's out for the camp season for the Assemblies of God. Let's say that somebody like, hey, my kids aren't going to camp. How can they get over? Maybe they're not even part of the Assemblies of God. Is there a way they can get their hands on this? Because this is a great teaching tool, whether or not they're part of this program or not.
Yeah, they can easily go to our website, bgmc.ag.org. And on there's a store link that will get them there. They can also go to the website for the trading card game, the BGMC trading card game. That will send them to the store. If they went on to order them right now, it will say back ordered because we're out.
That is awesome.
We placed an order for more cards, and so we're hoping to have
They're
them.
coming.
So
they're coming.
Yeah.
So it's that's the way folks can get their hand on them. I'll send you, if we're able to do this, the QR code that you might be able to share. With that could take them right to it. On every box, on every pack, there's a QR code that will take them to the website. So that way, like, let's just say maybe they're not able to go to camp, or they do go to camp and they come home and, little Timmy wants grandma to buy him more cards. She can go to the website and then she can see gameplay. She can see the instructions on the website. There's the video. And then also the link to the My Healthy Church store to get those Squishmallows, Buddy Barrels, all the different things that are on there. So, and that's the fun part. As we create these things, we have some other things that we're working on, potential Squish Grandpa Buddy, some little characters of the 4 main characters, which, go ahead, Stacey, show that. So
I love it.
Right now on creating 4 characters: Grandpa Buddy, Buddy Barrel, Winnie the World, and Pencil Pal, that might be, they're going to be sold around Christmas time.
Right.
So folks can get a 4-pack of those and have the characters where their kids can begin to play with them. And so it's just the crazy things with this is it's opening the doors for us to be able to do things that last year when I was just driving across the country to get from Montana to Springfield in the move, spending time talking to Lewis on the phone, dreaming up some ideas, especially with him being the video guy, of creating digital shorts. That would be a discipleship tool that kids can watch on their phone. They're constantly, little ones having their parents' device or their own iPad, but having 3 to 5 minute videos that could inspire them to love God, to love others, and then to be generous. And
right.
So this is creating some cool opportunities for us, all through a dream that God gave me, but also the dream that he gave Lewis and Stacey just a few years ago. And for him to intertwine us in this new season to create a discipleship tool that isn't just the cards, but there's so much more that's going to come with it.
So
yeah,
good.
and we've got one little thing that I think that's kind of cool that we're working on.
Can I talk about?
Yeah.
So one of our locations that's on one of our cards is Hot Springs, Arkansas, where we feature Hillcrest, a children's home. And that's AG Foster Care is one of our partners that we work together with. And we have developed a character called Gladys the Bear. And Gladys the Bear, of course, has her little go bag, because she's a foster kid. And one of the cool things about Gladys is that we are making plush bears that look like her and her twin brother, Graham the bear.
Well, you need to say this. So at Hot Springs, they have this orphanage there,
Right?
Hillcrest, and that was created by a lady named Gladys
years ago.
Oh my goodness!
In her home, that she had 12 to 14 kids that she took care of by herself, and so.
But the cool thing is we're going to have Gladys the Bear plushies available for people to purchase. But every time you purchase a Gladys the Bear, one gets donated to a foster kid.
Oh, that is so sweet. I'm gonna have to go buy some now.
Yeah.
I love that. I love this so much. So this is now obviously this is very kid centric. This is all very probably 11 and under centric. Now again, I play TCGs. I have teenagers in my youth group. I told them about this. Hey, they're coming out with this thing. They freaked out. They're teenagers. Yeah. Is there maybe some dreaming and planning for maybe like now? For those who don't know, Speed the Light is kind of the teenagers version of BGMC. Are you guys maybe working with that? Pushing some buttons?
There's some pieces that will be included because there are some crossover things with BGMC and Speed of Light. But here's the crazy thing. The first camp that these were being sold at was in Alabama, and teenagers were the ones buying the majority of the cards, the junior staff that were working at the camp. And so the director actually had to tell them to stop buying them. Buy them. And so I think that they're at a level to which teenagers could use them because there's, like I said, there's crossover things that apply to BGMC and Speed of Light because of our partnerships like World Serve, Free International, Convoy of Hope, those different pieces that teenagers hear about as well. And so there are some crossovers, but I know we're dreaming up some stuff, for those. Go ahead, Lewis.
So one of the things I'll say is that this is a great place to talk about what we're going to be introducing here soon. And that's,
can we talk about it?
Well, yeah, it's 3 ways to play. And so we have the casual, which is basically what we talked about. It's a little bit more in depth, and that's you against a player. There's also, we're going to have another one that you could play with your children's pastor, your parents, called co-op. That way you work together. You're going to take all the cards that you have and try to figure out the game. But the one I'm most excited about is competitive. And so what we're working on, and I'm going to be working with some other folks that just basically creating rules, new strategies. And one of the ways that I think that we'll springboard it is our new expansion pack that we want to add possibly in the fall or in the winter. And it's going to be called Champions and Disasters.
Oh, wow.
So with that, we'll introduce some missionaries from the past and present. And there'll be character cards, but they're going to work a little bit different than existing ones. But then the disaster cards are really what's going to kind of make the gameplay a little bit more strategic, where you can
play a disaster, like let's say famine hits and it wipes
not
it,
famine like
not
that,
famine
like
hurricane, wipes out all of your wipes out all of your resources, and so you have to figure out a way to have enough impact points in order to purchase those resources back again, and just brings a little bit more of like an antagonist to the game and a little bit more fun for the older kids, like you said, teenagers.
Definitely love it. Well, again,
the hope also is, as this grows, is to create a digital game with it, where people can be mobile with it. It's already a mobile game, but it was funny sharing this with some kids in New Jersey way back in February, and one kid goes, "Wouldn't it be cool to have like a BGMC Go, where the only time that you could capture a character is like right when church starts?" And so all of a sudden there's this invitation to come into the church.
Oh my goodness!
Character to be caught until after worship. So I don't know, just kids dreaming, and that's the fun of them being a part of this. And Lewis and the team, this young lady at that same church created a little card. And while we may not have all of the kids' cards in it, having kid created cards will be fun. One of the things we discussed even today was how do we find out what actions kids are doing? There's some twins in Illinois that are knitting hats together. That's going to become an action card. Kids doing bake sales, some young boys in Ohio making soap. So those are different actions that our kids are doing that will create cards that will match up to with what they're doing. So now kids are they are specifically being involved in the game. So those two girls in Illinois, their likeness will be on those cards. And so that's the fun part of it all, is all of a sudden now you're like, maybe I get my friend's card, so it's just a lot of fun to be able to be in this infancy stage and still dream while we don't have all the answers. So when we say, no, we don't have a youth one yet. Who's to say that we won't be able to create one in the future, especially where kids are at today? We don't want them to grow up until they're 18. We want them to continue to be kids. I'm 47. The very first pack I opened up out of the boxes when they arrived in my office, there happened to be a mystery card, and I lost my mind. I mean, it was I'm super stoked. And I'm not a TC. I don't play trading card games. I was blown away. I've got the card, and so.
And also we're talking to some children's pastors about this, and they're like, "Oh, we are going to have to study these cards because our kids are going to know more about missions than we do."
Good.
Yeah. And to take this game and even create it to where a local church pastor at some point could be able to print off on a card stock. There's, it will have a trademark and all that stuff, but they can actually begin to play them as stage games, have coloring pages, all these things that come with it. So it's not just about the trading card game. There's so much more that comes with the discipleship side of it that the local church pastor can use, and even mom and dad at home, because there's men out there, women out there that are into trading card games, and they're going to get their hands on this, and they're going to want the full set. I was in Georgia, and I shared this with a few people, with a dad in Georgia, and he's in tears because his son was huge into Pokemon, and the Holy Spirit just convicted them, and they got rid of all the cards, and his dad's been praying for something new for his son. And so today I sent him a box of cards and a game board, so he can begin his journey, because this kid might be the kid that helps us to create those, all the different levels of gameplay that we have.
Word.
So
very cool.
Well, the other thing I could talk about too is that, we knew going into this, I know enough about this to know character cards are going to want to be the thing that people collect.
Yeah.
And so the process of that, if you look at BGMC right now, if you were just to start, you'll be like, okay, I guess we're going to have a lot of buddy barrel cards. And so we were like, okay, we need to go and figure out how we can get some more characters in this.
Right.
And then that's where we started digging up. And of course,
they're
our older
partners have characters, and we've just revamped them and given them new life.
Yeah. And so with BGMC, they had, Winnie the World, and like we talked about earlier, Pencil Pal. Mm-hmm. And so we've been just kind of on the hunt for new characters.
This is Samir the Camel for Live Dead.
So, and some of our partners didn't have any mascots. So we were like, hey, can we create you one? And they were like, sure, let's do it.
This is Miles the Meerkat.
But these folks, Africa's Children, they already had Miles, and so we just needed to
give him a little bit of an update.
A little change, not an update, but just a change to match up with
the rest of our characters
stuff. So
this is Sal and Sally from Convoy of Hope.
And Convoy was a lot of fun to work with, because I'd said, hey, do you guys have a character? Yeah, we do, because we actually created this Feed One program, and our hope was we want to really capture the hearts of what's going on in BGMC and connect with it. And I said, that would be great. And I'd love to have you guys be a part. And we'd send them some of the artwork. And they're like, hey, you know what? We think we need to change them a little bit from what we have. Mm-hmm. And so their artists went back to try to match the style, so Sal and Sally could match the style of what the cards are. So we've really enjoyed working with our partners, as some of them, like World Serve, who actually had
Jerry Can.
So Free International, we were working with them. And so I was like, hey, what would be cool is if we had a rescue dog. And so
I love that.
Roscoe the rescue dog.
Well, here's the fun part with the Convoy of Hope one. They just sent me a picture of Sally. This is the that they actually have.
That's awesome.
Shifted theirs to match up to what our card.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That is so cool.
So it's pretty fun to see that we're helping them. A lot of our partners, have been mostly speed of light type people, focusing with teenagers and stuff like that. So now they're getting into the understanding that kids are very, very much a part of this whole process as well.
Right.
There's no greater missionary to the local school than an elementary kid.
Yeah.
So that they're really understanding that we need to reach this next generation of, first of all, they're hyper compassionate towards everyone, but they're also ridiculously creative in their way that they approach people, the way that they love people. And so it's just a lot of fun to see the things that are happening, that are unfolding. And it really is the fun part of being able to listen to the dreams. Like I share this every time I talk with people about this game. This game was created by local church pastors for the local church.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
I love this so much. I really do. And listeners, for those who are listening right now, maybe not watching, but Stacey's showing some of the cards, and we'll try to show some cards from the website on our screen also. But one of the reasons why I love this so much is I was a kids pastor. I'm a student pastor now. But I've heard testimony after testimony from people who are on the mission field now. And they're there because they heard about BGMC, they heard about missionaries when they were kids, and it inspired them. Like, I can do that. I can go. Our church, we support an orphanage in Moldova called the Orphan's Hands. And what's interesting about that orphanage is that a lot of the people who run it today were orphans there when they were kids. And they grew up, they saw the need, and they're like, I know the process, I can do this. And what we're doing today with this game is we're exposing kids to the needs of the world and going, hey, there are very real, very practical ways you can go. We have a philosophy at my church called going by giving, where not everyone is called to go to Moldova, to Tanzania or anything like that. And not all of us can go for one reason or another, but we can go by giving because we have this impact that takes place. And we're teaching our kids through BGMC, you guys are doing this, that, hey, they can have an impact with writing letters to those missionaries. Missionaries love hearing from people. They love hearing that people are, that there's something about hearing that somebody's praying for you that bolsters the spirit and helps them to continue moving forward. And then also, again, simple kid walking out, hey, mom, we need to buy rice because there's kids who need it. Let's buy rice and drop it off. The church will handle it, I promise you. And so I love that you guys are literally raising up, not the next generation, but the current generation to be better than what they could have been. And I am so thankful for you guys. Yeah. Awesome. Well, is there anything else you guys want to tell us about before, you guys drop this mystery card on everybody in this live?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I'll say, it was kind of fun because my son, he's 11, his friends come over once in a while. And I know a couple of them, they don't attend church, so we're working on them. But he saw this game over here, and he came in
because our dining room is all BGMC trading
it's just
cards.
BGMC trading cards, and he's looking through the cards, and he's like, these are cool. He's like, is there any rare cards? I was like, oh yeah, and we have hollows. He's like, wow, that's really cool. They went and played with my son, but I realized, we have to speak the language they understand, and that's a language he understood. Rare cards, hollows, and each of these cards are telling a story, and this is not this is not fantasy, this is not witchcraft, this is not casting spells, this is missions and helping and joining together with the Holy Spirit and helping real missionaries on the field.
Absolutely. Good deal.
I love it because we've been praying for years how to get the Bible back into the school. Well, one of the power-ups is a Bible card. We want prayer to be in the school. I mean, it's all those things. So really, as kids, even kids that don't know Jesus, and they pick up and play these card games on the playground, now it gives our kids an opportunity, a witnessing tool that we haven't been able to take tracts to school or Bibles to school. Now we have cards that are going to come in little books like this. People can be like, hey, what is that? And all of a sudden, this kid can open up his binder and begin to, pull out cards and show stuff and explain the game. And all of a sudden, that kid goes home and tells his parents about it. Their parents end up on the Assemblies of God website. Maybe that family's life has changed that day. And all of a sudden, an influential family changes the whole community. And I think I've said this 1,000 times. What if the card got left at a game place, a trading card place, and some hyper gamer who's his whole, I don't know how to explain it, because again, I'm not one of the gamer, but he's huge into Dungeons and Dragons or whatever it might be, and he's oppressed because of it, and he's feeling about giving up on stuff, and he finds a smiley faced yellow can, and all of a sudden his life gets changed because of it. All of a sudden there's some joy in his life.
Word.
And, so it's just fun. And so I'm excited for this because of the discipleship tool. Which one do you have?
I got one. I got you.
You got purple or the other one?
The other one.
I'm going to do the other one. We're going to show both.
You're going to show
You're
both?
Show both?
We're just doing one. Just one.
David
Oh.
really, really wants to show his.
I know.
Okay, so here we go. You ready?
Ready.
So this is vintage.
What is that? That is lit.
So that is a black and white card.
Ooh.
And so basically, I had reached out to some folks
What's
at
the
the
date
National
on that? That was so. This is the original artwork of the very original.
Well, we don't know. So there is question about that because I've been talking to some folks at the national office trying to figure out. This is one of the earlier ones that we could find.
Wow.
So anyway, we have this early art. It's black and white. We really think it's one of the coolest cards.
That is a cool looking card. I'm not gonna lie.
The fun part is with the expansion pack that's going to come out here pretty soon. Is there's 2 new mystery cards.
Let's go.
That's the fun part where folks can find those. But the
Not
fun,
tell
yeah.
what they are.
I wanted to say something. So this has been my
life.
This is my nightmare. Is me trying to create secrets, and with Eric and David,
There's no secrets.
they're not allowed to have secrets.
They
And
love
so
to tell everybody the secret.
So these 2 mystery cards I've kept under wraps for a long time, and I've worked with a gal at the national office, Monica, who's amazing, and so she's just been helping me navigate to make sure it kind of lines up with everything.
She's our secret keeper.
Yeah,
Nice.
And so I just now let them know once the order was placed and things are coming. Like, here's the card. It's already been ordered. So if you hate it, it doesn't matter.
I love them. I love them. And the cool piece is we were cleaning out our warehouse, like I said earlier, and found a bunch of old, there's different iterations of Buddy throughout the years in artwork. And so we've got some fun pieces that we're going to be able to create as cards going forward. And again, not just Buddy, but there's other pieces. Like there's a really cool painting that someone did of different kids. And so it could be a retro 80s type looking card. And so it's just a lot of fun, like creating this discipleship tool for this generation and generations to come. It's just, card trading has been around for years. I remember getting my butt whooped for having messed up my stepdad's Babe Ruth card. So, so all my friends had their cards and their spokes, and I only knew that we had a few cards in the house. So wasn't able.
Oh no!
But these are going to be a great discipleship tool that will be able to impact for generations. And again, it all goes back to the creativity and dream that Stacey and Lewis had, and really just Lewis's boldness to call me up and say, hey, I have an idea. And I love ideas. And so I'm willing to take a risk on anything if it's to help the next generation. So
Fantastic. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys being on. I'm excited about this. Again, if you guys want to check it out, it's bgmctradingcards.tv. If you guys go to the website, we'll have links in the description down below here on YouTube and also in the podcast feed. How can people get a hold of you guys personally? And if they're like, hey, this has inspired me, I want to get in touch with you guys. How can I serve Nexus Church? How can people get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, if you want to hit us up on Facebook,
yeah,
you can search Nexus
Church in Bloomington, Illinois.
And yeah, that's a great way. Or you can go to nexuschurch.tv, and that's a great way to get a hold of us too.
We're pretty easy to get a hold of.
Yeah.
For me, my number's 911.
911.
You can go to the BGMC website. There should be a contact way to get on, or bgmc.ag.org, and you can email me that way. Or you can find me on Instagram, David Alexieff, or Facebook the same way. Or that's the best way to get me.
Awesome. Good deal. And I'm glad that you said that. Now I know, I'm not going to lie. When I first heard about you guys, I tried reaching out, wasn't hearing anything. I was literally going to start spamming the BGMC Instagram with day one of trying to get a hold of BGMC. Day two, because I really was excited about this project. My students saw it. They're like, we need this. And so I'm glad we're here. Hey, Devoted Geeks, thanks for watching. Again, check out these guys, follow their stuff. And if you're interested in BGMC, specifically, check out the website. There's much more to BGMC, just this trading card game. And since it's on back order, pick up the other things that are on back order right now and help support missionaries across the globe. And hey, obviously with Geek Devotions, check out geekdevotions.com and check out all our social media platforms. Look for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just look for Geek Devotions. Until next time, stay devoted. Peace and love.